Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Planescape Torment. This is Chris Avellone RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you chose to join me today here as we continue talking to Daikon, or Dakon. I think it's Dakon, or something like that. He does have a green sword, or at least... Oh, it's his hair! It's his hair! He's kind of like a green thingy, I think. Like the thing blowing the wind. Then he walks backwards. Yeah, okay. Well, last episode we were reading about, actually, which one was it? One of the circles of Zerthimon, and we found out that apparently Zerthimon came up with a very interesting and cunning strategy of convincing the betrayer in their midst, the midst of the Githyanways? Well, these guys. I probably could check what his race is. Can I? Not from here. It doesn't seem like. Can I not? Oh, Gith said I. Yeah. So yeah, basically there was a traitor, and he basically got that traitor killed through his own stupidity, and also the stupidity of the Illithids, because they basically gave up on their informer.
What is your will?
Yeah. So let's see what I can do here. Can I talk about your teachings? I've read the which one? Yeah, the Unbroken. Okay. So what did you come to know? He asks. When one chooses to see without knowing, they betray themselves. That is the straightforward... It's not really straightforward, actually, but it's straightforward as the learning that we got from, I think, the 4th circle. But this is the one that we actually need to say. When one chooses to see only what is before them, they see only a part of the wall. They are blind. And just as Vilquar, who was the betrayer, was blinded by his promised reward, so were the Illithids blinded to the true rising. Oh, that's a better conclusion than they were idiots. That's a much better conclusion than they were idiots. For when they heard Vilquar's words, they turned their sight outwards again, didn't they? And the rising was free to strike. Know that you speak truly. Vilquar's eye blinded both Vilquar and the Illithids. The tentacled ones thought the rising to be no more. When the rising occurred, the ground drank deep of Illithid blood. So was victory born from treachery. Oh, it's a curious lesson. Or it's a curious lesson, I should say. Why would it be part of the teachings of Zerthimon? Dakon's blade bleeds into a dead night black, and his voice deepens for a moment. You think he's angry, but you're not sure. But you're not so sure. For a moment you think he's angry, but you're not so sure. There is much about the ways of Zerthimon and his path that is difficult to know. Do you know why Vilquar's eye is part of the way of Zerthimon? It is part of the telling of how our people came to know freedom, he says. It lets us know that there are those, even among the people, who are not of the people, and that even in the greatest treachery, a great knowing may be achieved. Well, very well. You have come to know the 4th circle of Zerthimon. And he takes the circle and with a deft motion he twists one of the links so one of the plates slides forth. He hands the plate to you. Meditate upon its teachings, and the knowing of it shall give you strength. Well, that's another spell that we're going to be able to learn. I would know more of the way of Zerthimon. Dakon's fingers feel around the edges of the stone circle, and he twists it clockwise, clinks, and they settle into new configuration. The next circle of Zerthimon is open to you. Okay, well, let's see what that is. We have a lot of them. Nice. Actually, before that happens, I want to save the game here, and I want to copy this spell and see what it is all about. First off, I go in here, and it's Vilquar's eye. 30 seconds. Vilquar's eye is branded upon the one who is foolish enough to cross the caster. If the targeted creature fails its saving throw at -1 penalty, the creature will be struck with blindness and suffers a -4 penalty to its attack rolls, and a +4 penalty to the target's armor class. So it's not really that, I mean, it's got the blindness spell is a little bit better than this one. But I think it breaks. Does blindness break? I don't know. I'm not going to use it. It's just a debuff, and I don't like debuffs all that much. Even though they are very important, but this is just not my playstyle, I guess. So let's read the 5th one. Okay, yeah. So, you know the symbols? Let's read. Zerthimon was the first to know the way of freedom, yet it was not he that first came to know the way of rebellion. The knowing of rebellion came to the warrior queen Gith, one of the people. Huh. Gith is a name of the Githzerai. That's interesting. She had served the Illithids upon many of the false worlds as a soldier, and she had come to know war and carried it in her heart. She had come to know how others might be organized to subjugate others. She knew the paths of power, and she knew the art of taking from the conquerors the weapons by which they could be defeated. Her mind was focused, and both her will and her blade were as one. The turning in which Zerthimon came to know Gith, Zerthimon ceased to know himself. Why, did she control him or something? Her words were as fires lit in the hearts of all who heard her. In hearing her words, he wished to know war. He knew not what afflicted him, but he knew he wished to join this blade, or his blade, to Gith. He wished to give his hate expression, and share his pain with the Illithid. Gith was one of the people, but her knowing of herself was greater than any Zerthimon had ever encountered. She knew the ways of flesh, she knew the Illithids, and in knowing herself, she was to know how to defeat them in battle. The strength of her knowing was so great that all that walked her path came to know themselves. Gith was but one. Her strength was such that it caused others to know their strength, and Zerthimon laid his still at her feet. Okay, so what lesson do we have there? The fact that I find it interesting that they brought the attention to the fact that she didn't know, or he didn't know himself anymore. But I wonder if that's the teaching that we get. So, what did you come to know, he asks. So, Zerthimon learned to join with an even more powerful figure, Gith. Together the people grew stronger. Did they now? There is great strength in numbers. Well, apparently we need to take that at face value. Yes, they did. There is great strength in numbers, that's the thing I need to say. But there is a great power in one. Oh, because of the leadership. For the strength of the will of one may gather numbers to it. There is strength there is strength not only in knowing the self, but knowing how to bring it forth in others. Yeah, that's Bose. This wasn't as deep as the other ones, I feel. You come to know the fifth... Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you have come to know the fifth circle of Zerthimon, he says. With this knowing, I impart this to you. And he takes the circle with a deft motion and twists one of the links, so one of the plates slides forth. He hands you the plate. Meditate upon its teachings, thank you very much. I would know more. So he shows me yet another one. The next circle of Zerthimon is open to you. Okay. Let's see which one this is. Copy the spell. Succeeded. I'm succeeding in all of those, which is great. Oh, it's a level. It's higher level. Right? Power of 1. And for Gith, the warrior queen came the knowing. And from Gith, the warrior queen, came the knowing of oneself. And from the knowing came immense power. So this lasts 30 minutes per level. This spell increases the target's strength score by a certain number of points, or tenths of points above 18. Which will be qualified by race class restrictions. The spell cannot bestow a strength of 21 or greater. Bonus is as follows. So it's better than this one over here. 1d6 for a bunch of those. Yeah, it just adds better, so I'm gonna use that instead. Much better. Okay, so save the game there. Let's read this one. So, the 6th circle. How many circles were there? He didn't say. You slide the plates into the configuration Dakon showed you, and a new ring is revealed. The ring carries the same script as you read before, with the same geometries. Okay, so yeah, I didn't read the word geometry, so that's why I was a little confused. Upon the blasted plains, Zerthimon told Gith there cannot be two sides. In the wake of his words came war. Upon the blasted plains, that's the plains, what are those? Those are not the fields of the dead husks. That's different. Upon the blasted plains, the people had achieved victory over their Illithid masters. They knew freedom. Yet before the green fires had died from the battlefield, Gith spoke of continuing the war. Many, still filled with the bloodlust in their hearts, agreed with her. She spoke of not merely defeating the Illithids, but destroying all Illithids across the plains. After the Illithids had been exterminated, they would bring war to all other races they encountered. So she was just a warmonger, really. A means to an end, I guess, at the beginning, but... Okay. In Gith's heart, fires raged. She lived in war, and in war she knew herself. All that her eyes saw, she wanted to conquer. And let me remind you that these guys are chaotic neutral, so that probably sheds a more understanding light, I guess, in her heart, I guess, or in her wants, I guess a lot. Zerthimon spoke from the beginnings of that which was against Gith's will. Just the beginnings. He spoke that the people already knew freedom. Now they should know themselves again and mend the damage that had been done to the people. Makes sense. Sensible words there. Behind his words were many other hearts of the people who were weary of the war against the Illithid. The Illithid, not the Illithids. Because that was both times Anyway. Okay. Know that Gith's heart was not Zerthimon's heart on this matter. Well, that's just opinion. I guess heart means opinion or take or stance. She said that the war would continue. The Illithid would be destroyed. Their flesh would be no more. Then the people would claim the false worlds as their own. Gith told Zerthimon that they would be under the same sky in this matter. The worlds were like bared steel. From Zerthimon came the pronouncement of two skies. And we've read about this before, but I forgot about what it meant. In the wake of his words came war. I suppose war between the two factions? Because it would make some sense on that account, but let's...
What is your will?
So talk about the teachings. Okay, what did you come to know, he asks. So, Zerthimon learned that even in freedom, one must continue fighting for freedom, even with one's own race. Did he? Oh, yeah, against. Oh, within. Not with. Within one's own race, yeah. I know that Zerthimon... That's the answer I need to give. I know that Zerthimon's devotion to the people was such that he was willing to protect them from themselves. He knew the Illithids had come not to know themselves in their obsession with control and domination. So he chose to stop Gith before she carried the people to their deaths. There must be balance in all things, or else the self will not hold. That was not the lesson I learned from that. But I wouldn't be able to put it into words either way, so yeah. Gained 5,000 experience, my god. You have seen the words and know them. Dakon's voice slows and his hands grip the edges of the unbroken circle. He twists it clockwise and there is a click, and he gives me 2 plates in his hands. He makes no move to hand them to you. Dakon, is that second plate for you? Dakon falls silent. His blade has ceased shimmering, the film freezing upon its surface. He is staring at the second plate, paralyzed. Do you know the 6th circle? Dakon looks up, but his cold black eyes do not meet your gaze. No, there is nothing more I may teach you. You know the way as the people know it, and it shall give you the direction by which you may know yourself. Yeah, but that's not what I asked. Do you know the 6th circle, or not? And by this I mean the balance, because it's all that matters. It's the balance here. It's the fighting between yourself. And I think this actually connects to something he said at the beginning, that he was, I felt that he, I don't remember exactly what, but I remember him saying something that kind of reminds me of what's going on in here. Dakon is silent for a moment, then speaks, his voice slow and careful. It has come to pass that I do not know the 6th circle of Zerthimon. Once I knew it, he says, but I know now I only saw the words, and Dakon's eyes stare through you. That is all. It is my path that I no longer know the way of Zerthimon. Dakon, there is one thing I would know. Why is Vilquar's eye in the circle of Zerthimon? It seems strange. It tells of how the people benefit from a treachery from their own. It seems... Dakon's eyes flash. I've told you, it is part of the telling of how the people came to know freedom. Do you not listen? His voice flattens as if he is reciting a passage from memory. It tells the people that even in the greatest treachery, a greater knowing may be achieved. It doesn't sound to me like you believe that. I think there's another reason Vilquar's eye is in the circle of Zerthimon. It is set there because of the 6th circle and the pronouncement of the 2 skies. It's there to justify Zerthimon's treachery to the people upon the blasted plains. What? That wasn't Zerthimon's treachery. I can't choose anything else. I felt that was good. Oh, but maybe it's so effective. No, it has no. I was for a moment there. I was considering that maybe the Valquar's eye, the 4th circle anyway, was so effective in preparing me as the reader here to justify treachery that I was already subconsciously ready to accept Zerthimon's treachery as not even a treachery. But first off, I'm not that easily influenced, and there would be actually no time for me to be influenced by that. It usually requires a lot. It's done in movies, and it's really hard to pull off in movies already, and I have an eye for it. This situation over here, I would have standed by it no matter what, and the truth of the matter is I had forgotten, when I was considering whether or not I stood by Zerthimon's decision to declare the pronouncement of the two skies, I had forgotten about the treachery. That didn't play into my mind at all. It doesn't matter. It's like, that's the other thing is that it was kind of outside of the whole thing. It didn't really matter. It just showed more of the Illithids than it really did show about the Gith. The Gith Jedi. But I wonder if it is. Let's see. Dagon is silent and his blade bleeds into a dead black, teeth rippling along the edge. He divided a people upon the blasted plains, Dagon. He divided your race when they were on the path of victory. I would like to believe that it was because you wished to save the people from themselves, but I don't think you believe that. Oh. Okay. I do believe that it was, not really to save them from themselves, or much less to save the rest of the world, because they were going to kill everybody. That was their point. I think it was more to stay true to their original, he wanted to stay true to their original culture, I guess. There's nothing wrong with that, I guess. Right? Dagon is silent for a moment, then he speaks slowly. I do not know the sixth circle as it is known to others. I fear that the third circle, the fourth circle, and the sixth circle are more closely linked than many know. It is in that knowing that I have lost myself. You lost yourself? In the third circle, Zerthimon submerged his will to decide or to deceive the Illithids. Then in the fourth circle, it speaks of the benefits of treachery. Then in the sixth circle, Zerthimon divides his people before they exterminate the Illithids. Do you think Zerthimon's words may have not been his own? Oh. Crap. That's a good point. That's a good point. So, in the third circle, if I remember correctly, Zerthimon basically submerges his will. It means he basically lied to the Illithids. And then the thing is, there's another bit, which is, it says that Zerthimon didn't know himself when he met Gith. Was Gith? Holy crap, that actually makes sense. If Gith was controlling Zerthimon, she would want dissent within her own people. Not only to weed out dissent, because she would be able to kill them, but also because, it creates this sort of strife, this sort of internal turmoil inside any culture, any country, any people. It creates a lasting memory, and it creates a mythos, effectively, that will prevent this sort of thing from happening in the future. Especially, from an authoritarian, because it seems that Gith was authoritarian, from an authoritarian leader who's able to control the narrative of the whole thing, this would happen. But I can't conciliate the thing about my character saying that it was a treachery. The notion here of treachery is no more the notion of, is nothing more than the notion of lying. And lying isn't, we could argue about that, but lying isn't inherently bad. You can lie, we could argue about that, but I don't believe lying is inherently bad. The treachery itself is bad, but the problem is it depends on context, and the context is not given. So maybe I didn't understand it correctly, or it's just he's actually just referring to lying, because it kind of is referring to the treachery of Zerthimon towards the Illithids. Not really, but... Know my words, says Dagon, and know the wound that lies upon my heart. I fear that when Zerthimon was upon the pillars of silence, he did not submerge his will. I fear his will was taken from him by the Illithids. Yep. And when he spoke upon the blasted plains, It was their words he spoke. I fear that what he did was not for the people's sake, but for our former masters. Oh, wait a minute, you like the whole warlike thing? Sure, whatever. Okay, so maybe that's, okay, that probably explains... That probably explains what I said about the treachery, and yeah. So if they are by nature, just they like war, then yeah, it was very much treachery. And because he wasn't going back to their ways, he was, yeah. Well, it's possible, my character says, it's possible, but no, it doesn't necessarily mean
Updated
that,
my journal.
Then know this and speak of it no more, says Dakon. His voice is like a knife. Know that I shall never know the truth. There is no resolution to this matter, for I shall never know Zerthimon's heart upon the blasted plains. His cold-black eyes glare at the stone circle in his hands, and so I do not know myself because of the unbroken circle of Zerthimon. Oh, come on, don't be like that! You sound like a Firefly fan. Come on! Just make up a story. It doesn't really matter. I guess it does. I mean, it's part of his culture. Very well, Dakon. We'll discuss this no more. Let's move on. Okay, so that was incredibly deep. He gave me 2 of them. Okay, maybe we are going to be able to glean some information from these 2 things over here. So this is the 6th circle. And this is another 6th circle. That he will keep right there.
I cannot part with that.
I didn't mean to. Oh, wait a minute. You can learn that? Only usable by mage. Oh, he can learn that. So that's for him. Right there. So he's a mage as well.
Endure.
Yeah, and in
enduring grow strong.
That's the one. That's the one. Balancing all things. So he's got... Oh, he's got all the spells? Well, he's got power of 1. Balancing all things is probably mine as well now. There it is. Oh, it's a level 3. Awesome. Oh, wait a minute. There they are. Okay, what did you get? Reign of Anger. That's for... So what do I have over here? I got the Scripture of Steel, and it's got Reign of Anger, Submerge the Will. So that's for armor class 12 saving throws. It's the debuff, right? No, it's a protection thing. Vilquar's Eye is a little bit better, so remove that and get that. Did I just do exactly... Did I remove Vilquar's Eye? No, I didn't. I'm not this absent-minded. So balancing all things, what's that for? From the separation of the people came the knowing of 2 skies. From the knowing of 2 skies came the realization that hurting others hurts oneself. This spell only affects the caster. Whenever the caster is attacked while the spell is in effect, all hostile creatures within a 10-foot radius take equal damage. It lasts for 10 attacks per 4 levels of the caster, and the effects are not... So, is it forever? Duration when hit, the same... Yeah, it is. And the effects are not cumulative. You cannot have more than 1 balanced spells erected. If the spell is not triggered, it lasts for 5 seconds per level of the caster. Oh, okay, so it's not infinite, unfortunately. Because that would be a nice one to just go around with. But there we go. That was Dakon right there. Let's have a chat. Did I talk with you guys? I don't think I did. Maybe I did. Barkis, did I talk to you? I think I did. Back again. Yes. Okay. How about you, Ilquix? You see a short, rotund man with perplexed expression on his face. From the lines on his loose skin, it looks like it's not too uncommon. He carries a flagon of ale that looks like it's in the process of being emptied rapidly. In between swallows, he speaks in a gentle voice, so quiet that you can barely hear his words. Hello, traveler. My name is Ilquix. Can I be of some assistance to you?
Greetings. I would like to ask you some questions.
What did you want to know, my friend?
Who exactly are you?
I am but a humble man with a slight flowery poetical bent and a tendency towards the supernatural. I regret that I have none of my supplies here, or I should be most eager to teach you the ways of power. Perhaps some later time?
Yeah, I like that. For now, though, I have some questions. What can you tell me about this place?
This place, the Smoldering Corpse Tavern, a fine establishment with a fine owner, Parkis, is a true gentleman, and ambitious to increase his standing to boot. These, I feel, are the most useful qualities one can possess.
Yeah, they drive people, I guess. I had more questions. What can you tell me of the patrons of this place?
The patrons of this tavern are many and varied. I have spoken with most, and I find them delightful, with the exception of those creatures of law. And he gestures towards the pair of Abishai sitting in the corner. They taint the air with their presence, leading an unwholesome stench to an otherwise pleasant environment. I recommend speaking to Barkis. I understand he requires some aid with a trifling matter. Then we have that O character. I am still trying to understand him fully. It is quite an undertaking, if I say so myself. Those are the folk of interest here. The others, well, perhaps I am too discriminating. Too discriminating?
Why do you despise creatures of law?
Ah, a fine question, my friend. My upbringing has been on the chaotic side of the Great Ring. You may speak to Kandrian Ilborn, a misnomer if I ever heard one, of the plains. He fancies himself a great planewalker. To return from my digression, I have lived my many years with chaos, and find it pleasantly agreeable. To me, the taint of law, as in those creatures there, is reprehensible and tyrannical. If I am to be crushed underfoot, I'd rather it be an individual, or by an individual, than a machine that knows nothing of emotion.
Well, I disagree, actually.
But I'll say the truth. I disagree. Yeah, right there. Ilquick smiles toothily, his fat cheeks barely moving. To each his own, I say. Did you have more questions?
Yeah.
So what do you want to know, my friend?
Who's that Burning Man?
That? Huh. That is the last unfortunate who chose to exercise his individual will without the strength to back up his desires. His name is Ingas, and he was a pyromaniac. He burned and didn't burn the right people, and wound up channeling more raw power than he could control. Now, well, you can see what became of him. If you wish to learn more of him, perhaps that poor creature Drusilla can help you.
Poor creature? Come on, don't be like that. I'm trying to find a way to make this Mokai pay for her drinks. Any suggestion?
He laughs, his jowls shaking loosely, almost seeming to fall from his face. You could always poison her, friend. A dose of that was always effective in bringing resolution to nearly any conflict. And he laughs again. Of course, I'm joking. And he winks.
Are you really? Well, I'll see you later. Farewell, Ilquix.
Oh boy, so he's an interesting character. I wonder if he was gonna say more things, if I had agreed with him, but yeah. Deliver the box to Braskan. So I had a strange encounter with Kutra. Yeah, resolve the bar tab. So basically, Bark is the barkeeper of the Smoldering Corpse Bar. Asked me to take care of an outstanding bar tab. The victim is named Mokai. And that's the one. Where is Mokai, though? Probably on the other side, I would say. Anyway, we're gonna mess with these guys on the next episode. For now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Planescape Torment. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, like the video, but above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye!